Setting things straight, pertaining to American government's intended operation and function of the constitutions. The administrator. Government literally means the administration of public affairs. Government is merely the organization established by the people for the purpose of handling the administration of the people's public affairs. Relatable example. Let's say you are a business owner and you hire a manager or administrator to run the day-to-day internal operations of your business. You are the owner and the one with all power and authority to make final decisions. However, you delegate specific permissions or authority to your administrator for handling certain tasks and duties to be performed according to your will. This is what the Founding Fathers did when setting up our constitutions. The contract. When people enter into government service or into the administration of our public affairs, they are required to recite an oath of office, which also must be signed. They have to promise to follow and uphold the constitutions, federal and state. This is a binding agreement upon those that work within our government. Their delegated powers must be strictly construed, and construed means to interpret or to understand the meaning. This agreement is called a trust agreement. The people and the private do not swear an oath to the Constitution, only government workers, because the constitutions, which are called trust agreements, restrict those within government, trustees, not those in the private. The trust agreement. A trust agreement is something committed to a person's care for use or management, and for which an account must be rendered. The constitutions are trust agreements. The federal and each state constitution. We have one federal constitution and 50 state constitutions. A trustee is the person or persons to whom anything or business is committed in confidence that he will discharge his duty. Government workers are trustees. Example of trustee wording. In the Vermont Constitution, Chapter 1, Article 6, it says, that all power, being originally inherent in and consequently derived from the people, therefore all officers of government, whether legislative or executive, are their trustees and servants, and at all times, in a legal way, accountable to them. So all the power is derived from us, we the people. And all the officers of government, whether they are legislative, executive, or judicial, are considered trustees, and they're all accountable to us, we the people. Bylaws. The constitutions were written as directions for the setup and establishment of the government. They are primarily written to government employees, not to people in the private. It is a document that restricts government workers, not the people in general. The constitutions are bylaws for government workers. Bylaws are regulations and rules for a corporation or association used for its internal direction, government. Examples from the U.S. Constitution. In the U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 1, it says, all legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and House of Representatives. So that's an example of the setup instructions that's contained within the Constitution. In Article 1, Section 2, Clause 6, it says, the House of Representatives shall choose their Speaker and other officers, and shall have the sole power of impeachment. So that's instructions for government workers. It is not directed to the general population or the people in private. In Article 3, Section 3, Clause 2, it says, Congress will have power to declare the punishment for treason, but the penalty may not include confiscating a person's property after that person is executed. So this is an example of the setup instructions for the government workers. It's not directed to the people in private. It is not written for the general population other than to specify how government is supposed to operate. The Bill or Declaration of Rights. We do not get our rights from the constitutions. Our rights are declared, and declare means to make known, to tell explicitly. In the constitutions, which are written for government workers to remind them what they cannot touch or infringe upon. Our rights come from God. See, we were all born with rights. In the United States Constitution, Bill of Rights, Amendment 9, it says, the enumeration, which means the listing of our rights in the Constitution, of certain rights, shall not be construed, which means to interpret, to deny or disparage others retained by the people. You see, in the constitutions, they listed some of our rights out, but that doesn't mean that's all the rights that we have. We have an innumerable amount of rights. So it's saying that there are some listed in the Constitution, but we have many more than just that. They can't touch our rights. In the Texas Constitution, Article 1, Section 29, it says, to guard against transgressions of the high powers herein delegated, we declare that everything in this Bill of Rights is accepted out of the general powers of government and shall forever remain inviolate, which means unhurt, uninjured, unbroken. And all laws contrary thereto or to the following provisions shall be void. In the Kentucky Constitution, Bill of Rights, Section 2, it says, absolute and arbitrary power over the lives, liberty, and property of free men exists nowhere in a republic, not even in the largest majority. Both of these are taken from the Bill of Rights sections from the Texas Constitution and Kentucky Constitution. Bill of Rights, no matter what state they are listed in, are referred to or known as common law, and they apply equally to everyone. So it doesn't matter what state you're in, all the Bill of Rights apply to everyone. George Mason said, now all acts of legislature, apparently contrary to natural right and justice, are in our laws and must be in the nature of things considered as void. The laws of nature are the laws of God, whose authority can be superseded by no power on earth. A legislature must not obstruct our obedience to him, from whose punishments they cannot protect us. The purpose of government. Government, which is a system set up to administer the public affairs for the people, was established to secure and protect the declared rights of the people regarding life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Government was established by the people in order to benefit the people, not to control the people. A maxim of law. And a maxim of law is a fundamental principle of law. The main object of government is the protection and preservation of personal rights, private property, and public liberties, and upholding the law of God. John Adams said, government is instituted for the common good, for the protection, safety, prosperity, and happiness of the people, and not for profit, honor, or private interest of any one man, family, or class of men. Therefore, the people alone have an incontestable, unalienable, which means it cannot be transferred or separated from them, and indefeasible, cannot be made void, right to institute government and to reform, alter, or totally change the same when their protection, safety, prosperity, and happiness require it. Evidence. Declaration of Independence, 1776. So not only am I going to tell you the purpose why government was instituted, I'm going to give you the quotes from the Founding Fathers that said that, and I'm going to show you the actual portions of the documents that reflect this. So this is a portion of the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Unalienable rights means rights that can never be abridged, which means annulled, because they are so fundamental. Here's more evidence in the U.S. Constitution preamble. It says, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, which is us, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America." This was taken directly from the United States Constitution preamble, and I received it from the ballotpedia.org website. Here's more evidence in the state constitution preambles. In the Connecticut State Constitution preamble, it says, "The people of Connecticut, acknowledging with gratitude the good providence of God in having permitted them to enjoy a free government, do in order more effectually to define, secure, and perpetuate the liberties, rights, and privileges which they have derived from their ancestors, hereby, after a careful consideration and revision, ordain and establish the following Constitution and form of civil government." In the Louisiana State Constitution preamble, it says, "We, the people of Louisiana, grateful to Almighty God for the civil, political, economic, and religious liberties we enjoy, and desiring to protect individual rights to life, liberty, and property, afford opportunity for the fullest development of the individual, assure equality of rights, promote the health, safety, education, and welfare of the people, maintain a representative and orderly government, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, and secure the blessings of freedom and justice to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution." So these are just examples, 2 examples. There's many, many more. Government was established to guard our rights, not to trample them. James Madison said, "Government is instituted to protect property of every sort, as well that which lies in the various rights of individuals, as that which the term particularly expresses, this being the end of government, which means the purpose of government, that alone is a just government, which impartially secures to every man whatever is his own." Expressly authorized. Government workers are only allowed to do what is expressly authorized in the constitutions. They were given permission to write rules for themselves to handle the administration of public affairs. They were not given authority to write rules and regulations over the private lives of the people to interfere with our rights and liberties. There's a famous case from 1966 called Miranda versus Arizona, and on page 491 of that judicial decision, it states, "Where rights secured by the Constitution are involved, there can be no rulemaking or legislation which would abrogate them." And abrogate means to annul by an authoritative act. Maxim of law. No man can forfeit another's right. Maxim of law. Where there is no authority for establishing a rule, there is no necessity of obeying it. Useless power is to no purpose. Statutes. Congress was given authority to write rules for government operations and entities they create. These rules are called statutes. These apply to government entities such as the CDC, FDA, Department of Education, etc., and that which they charter like various corporations. These are known as legal entities or referred to as persons in statutes. Government did not create people, therefore statutes do not have jurisdiction over your private rights or liberties. They will hide this fact from you. You are not a person. Statute means an enactment made by a legislature and expressed in a formal document. A permanent rule established by an organization, corporation, to govern its internal affairs. Person means, by statute, term may include a firm, labor organization, partnerships, associations, corporations, legal representatives, trustees. Summation. The purpose of government is to guard our rights, freedom, and liberty, and to benefit the people. The constitutions are trust agreements which all government workers are bound to uphold and to carry out their duties accordingly. The constitutions restrict government workers, not the people in the private. We do not get our rights from the constitutions. The constitutions merely declare some of our rights. We have more than what are enumerated or listed. Our rights come from God and cannot be lawfully infringed upon. Government cannot write rules or legislation to remove or infringe upon your rights. Laws written that are contrary to our rights are null and void. Statutes are rules for the government employees and legal entities known as persons. As one of we the people, you are not a person, legal entity, and are not subject to that jurisdiction unless you cause harm to another's rights or property. Thank you for listening, and please share this knowledge with others.